So, Recep, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be among you today. So we'll be talking about how the platform market is changing. And essentially, if you look at platforms in 5 years' time, the providers out there and offerings they're providing will be very different to what's available today. And what this means for advisors is that you have to get very clear on what your business is about, who you're trying to serve better than anyone else, and then partnering with the right platforms based on that. The session will go into a lot of detail around essentially how are these players in the market shifting their propositions to better serve your needs. Now, for those of you less familiar with SuitabilityHub, we're a platform and managed account research software. We're really designed to do one thing really well, which is bring an unparalleled level of transparency to understanding platforms and managed accounts. So everything from the tools and functionality to fees and performance and to investment styles that help you work out based on what you need as a business, who is the right partner to have. I always think of a relationship with a platform provider or a managed account provider like a marriage. Once you get in there, it's quite painful to change how you operate and move somewhere else, right? So we're really about helping you facilitate a strong decision-making process around who to partner with. And importantly, the data we collect, we're continuously updating it. So platform providers, managed account managers, as their propositions evolve, we reflect that in our software so that you're always making timely decisions around which providers to partner with. So today's session is really around shedding some light around how the market's changed over the last 12 to 18 months. Now, to start, one of the important things to note about the Australian platform market is that the platform offerings out there are each really, really strong. Okay, we've had a lot of features and functionality-led competition in the industry. And what that's meant is that whenever platform providers release something that is valued by advisors, others have moved relatively quickly to deliver it as well. So one way of thinking about the world is no matter which platform you pick, you're likely to get a lot of really rich functionality that you won't necessarily get from platforms in places like the UK or the US. Almost, whichever platform you choose, you're going to get workflow tracking, client access, including through mobile, record of advice functionality, managed accounts, and the like. But even though this sounds like the market is becoming more homogenous, what's actually happening is platforms are realizing that it's actually now getting very important to be clear on who is their target market and building functionality that will best support advisors who want to operate their businesses the way they see that the world should work. So as an example of this, two of the most feature-rich platforms in Australia are Hub24 and NetWealth. In SuitabilityHub, we look at over 580 different functionality points across platforms, and these two platforms, depending on which week you open the software, either one has more features or the other has more features. So they're constantly trading places. But the interesting thing is only 60% of their features overlap. Yeah? So what this means is depending on which of these two platforms you choose, you're going to get very different outcomes for your business and for your clients. And not only that, there's quite a few areas we cover in our research where it's not available on either of these platforms. You have to partner with a North, a Colonial First State, or another platform to get access to those features. So that just emphasizes that, again, it's very important to work out as a business, what are your priorities in how you want to serve your clients and who you want to serve, and deciding on the platform partners based on that. So we have some issues with the colors on the slides today, but so bear with me if you can't read some parts. However, the main thing to know is that we have a time scale here around like how the platform markets evolved and also where it's headed. And the propositions out there, there's 4 key areas of focus among the platform providers, okay? So number one is you'll hear more and more platforms talking about delivering you a single view of wealth, helping you bring all of the client's financial situation, irrespective of the complexity of those assets or inaccessibility of those assets, being able to report on it in one place, be it their own home, maybe commercial property in Weathering Park, or some funds domiciled in the Cayman Islands, helping you essentially understand, report on, do the tax, etc., in one place. There's greater talk also now of hybrid platforms making a comeback. So if you go back to the 2000s, you might remember there were platform providers like Navigator's Enlink or Advisor NetGain, where you had the platform and the planning software capability in one. So now there are a couple of solutions out there which are, again, bringing that sort of providing advice and implementation into one place. We're also seeing some platforms moving to become more central to advisors' practices. And what they're saying is, sure, an advisor may always need Xplan for the initial advice, but once they do that initial advice, they should not need to use Xplan again unless there's a more sophisticated advice need. So let's facilitate the whole servicing and the implementation piece of the client, like on the platform, without needing to hop onto Xplan. And then there's also an emerging war, the next battleground, coming through innovative retirement solutions. So, more platform providers, more industry funds looking to follow in North's footsteps to deliver lifetime account style solutions. So competition in that area is heating up as well. So what we're going to talk about today is just a few common themes around how the platform market is evolving. And there's a lot of changes, a lot of big things to keep in mind around like how platforms are evolving their propositions. But we picked 3 areas to essentially be the focus of today's session. Number one, if you look at how platform propositions are evolving, there's a big war on inefficiency, right? And platforms are working very hard. Like they see it as a key area of competition to essentially help deliver advisors operational scalability, help you serve more of the type of clients you want to serve profitably. And that might mean a larger number of clients, or it might mean a smaller number of clients in a specific segment. But no matter who you want to serve, let's give you the means to do that profitably so that you're reducing your business costs, you're increasing your revenue per client, and you're doing that while also perhaps enjoying more time at the golf course or with your family, or better work-life balance overall. Another area is around broadening advisors' capabilities. So giving you sophisticated tools to reach markets that you might not have otherwise been able to serve as efficiently in the past. So for example, the high net worth segment, there's a view that more and more advisors want to serve these types of clients really well. Let's help you get there. Okay, that's been another focus area. And there's a lot of platforms also investing heavily in education. They're investing in growing the industry, growing advisors' businesses with the idea that your success is our success. If we help you run a more robust, better business, which grows, that means that you're going to be writing more business on the platform. So they're kind of seeing the advisor relationships more as partnerships than anything else. You'll hear more and more platforms talking to you about being partners in your business. And this is that commitment to invest in your growth so that you're successful, and also as an outcome of that, they're successful. Last year, we ran a study on behalf of Colonial First State, the cost to serve study, where we found that the average advisor has 110 clients, but if they were able to overcome their hurdles, the ideal number would be 152 clients. Financial advisors, right, as part of the study, one of the key things that comes through is that they are the most optimistic they have been since the Royal Commission. Yeah, they're saying we see great potential for growth in the future, and now it's all about enabling us to get there. One of the things I like to ask financial advisors who come onto SuitabilityHub is, okay, like what challenges do you face when it comes to winning new clients? And almost all of them say, Recep, hold on a second. We don't have a problem with winning new clients. We have a problem where we have a backlog of clients we can't get to. right? We need to be able to serve like all these people who are waiting for our advice. For some advisors, that means they get to cherry pick and build their ideal client base. For others, it means that they are transforming their businesses and really trying to get that scale benefit so that they can reach all that unmet need for advice that they're experiencing. So it's a very, very positive environment in terms of what advisors see as a potential for them. But what this also means is for platforms, it's become very critical to enable advisors to get there. Yeah, so there's a big focus among the technology providers out there to help you get to the number of clients you want to get to. Of course, averages, they hide things. In some cases, there's advisors who they serve 40 high net worth clients. They want to get to 45, and they're happy with that. Others, about 20% of the sample, they were happy to maintain or reduce the number of clients. But overall, if platform providers and other technology providers help advisors get to their desired level of clients, that's an extra 650,000 people getting financial advice in Australia. So what are some of the key things for you to be aware of, key initiatives from platforms? Number one is what I like to call Uberization. I've been using this term for almost 2 years, but it hasn't caught on, so maybe I'll ditch it soon. But the idea here is platforms are becoming more like Uber or Uber Eats, where you can go on, place instructions digitally without forms, and then have real-time tracking on where are things up to, okay? So to enable this, platforms do have to get more digital, and platforms have had to get more straight-through processing in the back end to have little or no human interaction with process requests. But this focus really started back in 2022 when BT Panorama launched their new workflow tracker, where the key innovation they had is a ETA, estimated time of completing certain or any of the requests that you put through there. And they used something very clever. They just said, let's look at how long it took our admin team in the last 7 days to process other requests of this type, and let's report that. That's it. And that saw their contact center volumes fall by 80%, because what was happening is your admin teams were sitting there on the phone calling BT, waiting on hold, trying to work out where is this application up to, or where is this other process up to. Now they can just go online and see that in one convenient place. This has triggered other platforms to invest in that sort of capability. North, Macquarie Wrap, they have great workflow tracking capability. In Macquarie, you can go into a service request, service item, and start a chat with their representative straight about a specific item. So they respond within 30 seconds. You don't have to identify yourself. You don't have to tell them what you're talking about. You just ask the question, they know everything already, and off you go. So it's a different service model that's emerging, but it's all designed to help advisors become more efficient. One of my favorite pieces of new technology from the last 12 months to call out is around using, essentially, platforms are templating more functions so that you can do it in bulk. So instead of doing things one client at a time, why not do it 20, 30, whatever clients at a time? And they had been doing this for a while when it comes to, for example, model portfolio switches, and when it comes to reporting, bulk reporting capabilities available on most platforms. One thing Hub24 did in the past year was say, what's the biggest pain point in advice practices now? And that's really around advice fee consent. Some practices have seasons where everyone sits down, maybe it's July, and all they do is fee consent because it's such an onerous thing. Others, they do it throughout the months as relevant, and it's a distraction from their business. Hub's built this thing. You can see a dashboard where how many fee consents do you have to do in the coming month, and then you can initiate these fee consents in bulk. Okay, you have templates. Other platforms have fee templates as well, but in their tool, you're assigning those templates in bulk, you're sending out the requests in bulk, and then you're tracking them in bulk as well. So the idea here is, okay, this is a pain point for advisors. Let's deliver something relatively simple. And sometimes like the effective things don't need to be complex, they can be simple. So they have this bulk fee consent capability that's been quite powerful in delivering scale around one of the big pain points around advice businesses. Now, there's a lot of other examples around how platforms make advice more efficient, but moving on to the next theme, this is about broadening advisors' capabilities. So what we mean by this is, as a platform provider, let's leverage our expertise to really help you reach the markets that you want to serve and deliver a better value proposition to them. Okay? An example of this is around retirement. So pre-retiree and retiree clients, North Lifetime Accounts deliver a unique solution where if you start advising clients in accumulation and put them into their lifetime accounts, you're accumulating the deeming benefits and getting a better age pension outcome. Now, last week we had MLC come out and announce their MLC Retirement Boost, not to be confused by MLC Pension Boost, which is something completely different. But the idea is like the war in this space is heating up. Okay, more platforms are looking at what will our retirement offers be for advisors so that they can better demonstrate the value they're adding for clients, not just in retirement, but also before retirement in the context of retirement, getting people more engaged with their retirement outcomes. Another area of focus has been around this view that some advisors, they've been very successful so far in building their businesses and now aspire to get to the high net worth segment, serve, and when I say high net worth, I mean, the true high net worth, 2.5, 5, 10 million plus. And what they're finding is that the skill set they've been employing to date is not necessarily as applicable for the new client base they want to serve, or the processes they have aren't as applicable. So there's a lot more work around giving access to alternative products, more international markets, more multi-currency accounts, fixed income securities, but also a big focus on non-custodial assets and their administration. So these are investments or investment vehicles that aren't typically found on platforms, and helping you, instead of ringing up a fund manager in the Cayman Islands, buying some units on behalf of a client and then having it recorded on your C drive or SharePoint, the platform saying, well, let's help facilitate this for you in a better way. Let's do the reporting and administration and tax. So there's been a lot of focus. Premium is one of the more established providers in this space when it comes to doing the reporting and the admin around these sorts of non-custodial assets. But more lately, NetWealth and Hub24 have been delivering services where they bring a custodial platform mentality to non-custodial. They're not as open and flexible as other solutions, but they're saying within our bounds, we'll make it easier for you and then other advisors to access this style of investment that's otherwise not on other wrap platforms. And then at the other end of the scale, like most advanced, are solutions like Dash Private, where not only do they do all the admin and tax, you also give them limited power of attorney, and they'll go and purchase units or transact or do corporate actions or what have you around these sorts of assets that are otherwise not accessible. So big focus in that space. You have other providers like Mason Stevens who are out there with their outsourced CIO service saying, let's bring institutional grade rigor to how you run client portfolios, monitoring the assets, rebalancing strategy, execution, so that that the clients you're serving, even though you might not be a private client advisory firm yet, you're delivering that style of investment sophistication when it comes to managing their portfolios. So a lot of focus around helping advisors reach new areas. And not every platform is focused on each of these things, right? So, you might say, I just want simple clients who are, into ETFs and locally based. Okay, maybe then these solutions aren't as relevant to you as like some of the other solutions in the market. So it's really about understanding that platforms are catering for at the segment level, okay, helping you get really good at the segment level. Another area is around demonstrating better client outcomes. So part of this is pulling the fee lever, becoming more price competitive. I'll talk more about this in a moment. You also have platform providers broadening their product suites, again, so you can reach the type of clients you want to serve. There's what was, I don't know if this is the unofficial wording is BBBB. So this is North's new approach to how they do managed accounts. So they've had build, buy, and badge managed account offering until recently. And then a few months ago, they added blend. That's so it went from BBB to BBBB, which rolls off the tongue like a charm. But the idea here is they're saying, look, some advisors, they want to be able to white label portfolios off the shelf, but just leave it at that. Others want fully bespoke solutions, which is what their build offering does. But not everyone is satisfied with that. What about the advisors in the middle? So now they've developed this capability where you can go in, choose from the selected managers, and tailor certain aspects at the practice level. Okay, so at the practice level, you might say replace this manager, replace the sector allocation, and then within certain guardrails, have your own essentially bespoke SMAs for your practice that you're then selling, saying, okay, this is now more aligned with how we see the world. So a lot of great initiatives like that coming through. North Interactive and Hub24's Present are also worthwhile to call out because these platforms are delivering you essentially almost like a digital PowerPoint presentation where you can go in, build a client report, right? And then while you're talking to the client, drill into the detail, interrogate the data further, change the segments that are reported on, include closed accounts if you want to. So the idea here is you're going in and saying, you know, when you were in super, this is your balance, and now that you're in pension, this is how it has continued. If we remove, you know, your spouse from the picture, this is what the situation looks like. If we put their account back in, there's just a lot more flexibility around enabling advisors to tell their stories. And around the theme of AI, there's going to be a lot of content on AI, but one thing that North has done in this area more recently is add a button where you can start taking file notes, and essentially it opens a new tab in the browser. It starts listening to a conversation between yourself and the client while you're presenting the report, and it knows who is saying what. So, you know, advisor said this, client said that, everything else. When I challenged North and said, why wouldn't I just use a, you know, Otter AI or another service out there? The key thing is that this has been trained on advisors' file notes shared by licensees and advisors. So the output you get is essentially broken into key areas where, you know, goals and circumstances, this is what was said. Market, you know, situation, this is what was said. Rebalancing or portfolio changes. So it's all, the whole conversation is categorized in a neat way, in a way that you might make the file notes personally. So a lot more, you know, efficiency in that regard. In the interest of time, I'll skip that bit. Looking ahead, the key thing about the platform market is there's always talk about consolidation, but I disagree about the platform market being smaller in 5 years' time. On the contrary, there's a lot more interest in the platform space from non-platform providers, be it industry funds, you know, global wealth management firms like Vanguard, or other, you know, wealth management firms more local. And what they offer might not be the full wrap functionality that you might get on a BT Panorama or a NetWealth, but instead more focused and potentially cheaper propositions. And platform providers, like, they're aware of this, so they're delivering enhancements for you that will essentially help them combat some of these changes. One of the key things that happens, like when a new provider enters the market, the easiest thing they can do is pull the fee lever, come in very price competitive, build market share, and then go from there, okay? So one thing that we've been seeing lately is that platforms are indeed delivering cheaper propositions. I'll talk about this in a moment, but also others saying it's not about being cheaper overall, it's about being the right price at the segment level. So for this segment of clients, will be cheapest, and then for this other segment of clients, we'll have a different value proposition for you, so that it's worthwhile to pay the potentially higher fees. So this really comes down to showing you that it's not just about the fees, but also bringing you the efficiency or the business outcomes, so that as a business, you can more cost effectively serve your clients. And again, that's illustrating the point around it's important to understand what you need from a platform and then choose your partners accordingly. Around the topic of fees, here we have 2 IDPS accounts with 1% allocation to cash. And what we're showing is like at different balances, what would the fees be on each platform? So Iconic, which is Centerpoint Alliance's new platform launched in December last year, they're very sharp. They have an 18 basis point fee up to $1 million with no fixed account fee. Okay, they're one of the only platforms with no fixed account fee, meaning that in multifamily situations, you have 3, 4, 5, 6 family members, they're going to be the cheapest in the market. Centric, fixed dollar fee structure, right? Big balances, fantastic. You know, that small fixed dollar fee becomes even smaller in a relative sense. You have platforms like BT Panorama, who have announced that, you know, as of 1 October, they're going to overcome the issue where their $540 fixed fee was making them unattractive for multi-member situations. So they have new pricing model coming out for linking multiple accounts for fee aggregation situations. So there's a lot of competition on the fees front, but a lot of the thinking around this competition is also at the segment level, like which area of the market should we serve better, which, you know, spaces should we deliver better propositions in, and more changes are coming. Okay, so there's a lot more fee changes coming through the pipeline, but then again, like, it's not just about the fees. You have to think about what other outcomes you're getting from platforms. So looking ahead, like some of the things that jump out for us, in the case of North, for example, they're stringing together a journey where you can record the client's risk profile on the platform, see where's the client's current asset allocation relative to that risk profile, initiate the sort of trades you might want to do the modeling, present an interactive reporting scenario, and then generate the ROA so that when you're sitting down with a client and doing the review, on the platform, you're doing all of that without needing Expand. Okay, in one place, you know, it's not the initial advice, but that ongoing servicing of the clients, you can do it all in one place. Macquarie has a tool called DPM, Digital Portfolio Manager. This is, at its heart, a robo-advice tool, but it's been designed for financial advisors to cut the amount of power planning in their business. This tool has been around since 2017. It's one of the best kept secrets in the market. But one thing that they've had for many, many years before the whole ChatGPT craze started is the tool would look at like what's changing in the markets, you know, suggest rebalancing to make, but then also generate text to explain why are we making these changes. And then as an advisor, you can simply, you know, review this and edit it if you want to, and then present it as a ROA to your client. So tools like that have been around for a while. And then, you know, when it comes to hybrid offerings, so through Dash and through Infocus's wealth management ecosystem, you can now have platform and planning software capability in one. So you're doing advice in one spot and then having that advice flow through to implementation. And in the case of Dash, they've taken the mentality of let's deliver flexibility in here. So you can use our tools as part of this process, or you can plug in what you see as best practice. So it's agnostic of how you want to run your businesses. It's agnostic of the tools. It's geared to let you run your business the way you want to run your business. Yeah, so if you want to use, you know, Expand's Risk Researcher for this, or, you know, whatever for that, you can just string together the journey you want from a process perspective in one place and have your client data flowing neatly through it and recording it all in one area. So we're running out of time to talk about AI, but essentially the thing here is there's a lot of experimentation among platforms. There's a lot of different ways that they're implementing it. For example, Dash and North, you know, they've been working on file notes. NetWealth has been working on delivering summaries of reports so that, you know, if you have a visually impaired client, they can actually read out have the text on what the charts are saying. In the case of Macquarie, they have this thing called BioCatch, where as you use the platform, it's watching everything you do, and the moment someone else is in your account, it knows it, and they're alerted. So they're, you know, very, very focused on that security side of things. So a lot of different implementations of AI coming through, and I think there's going to be a lot of great tools out there for financial advisors over the next few years. But the main message to summarize the presentation is Like as a advisor, like this is a fantastic time because there's so much competition between platforms on showing that they can serve you best. And platforms are really getting like picking segments that they want to do really well in. Like they want to do well everywhere, but specific segments that they exceptionally excel in. And if you as a business want to play in that space, then you need to be considering, okay, which platform is committed to this area when you're thinking about who to partner with. So that brings us to the end of our session. Thank you very much.
We have a few moments for questions if there are.
Thank you very much. Just wondering if you have any insights whether robotic process automation is being used by advisors on these systems to help some of our processes which we have, which these platforms can't seem to do at the moment, like consolidated reporting, getting data from different sites, etc.
Yeah. So at present, I suppose, our advisors using, robotic tools to create, process efficiencies on platforms. It's more the platforms delivering that capability. So the platform saying that any advisor, irrespective of the sophistication of your business from a tech perspective, can get these outcomes. The use of more robotic tools by advisors, I think is probably still nascent to say. So I'm sure it's happening in the fringes, but it's not super big yet. So it's more about platforms saying, how do we deliver this capability?
Look, thank you very much, Recep.
Thank you, Toby.